Welcome. We will look at tools and techniques, material selection, and a selection of classic and new flies. We hope these videos help you become a better tyer.
I'm going to tie a fly that imitates a little rainbow fry. And you can tie this a little bigger than I'm going to tie it. This is a size 10 hook. I think you can tie it 6, 8, stuff like that, but I'm gonna go with a 10. Uses a jig hook, as you can see, and black bead chain eyes. I'm going to cut off wire cutters for these, but I have these old scissors that I got in like the first fly tying kit I ever had, that I just stick them toward the back and cut them off. So there are my eyes. I'm going to tie this with white thread. So the materials are a jig hook, bead chain eyes, white marabou, olive marabou, some sort of ice chenille. This Semperfli 8mm ice chenille is great for this little fly. So if you have any of the Semperfli, you can go that way. And I tie this with a white thread. This is 140 denier white thread. And I'm going to go ahead and start my thread and just work it back to the end of the shank and then come back forward. All right. And now I'm going to put my bead chain eyes on, and I do this pretty much like everybody else does. Hold them where I want them and take some wraps across them, kind of an angle, and then come back and straighten them up and take wraps the other way. And then once I've got it pretty well secured that way, then I go around and pull pretty tight under there. Some people will put a little dab of head cement in order to keep these a little more secure. I haven't found that's really necessary. All right. Since this is a jig hook, remember it's going to ride upside down. And what happens with this fly is it gets water soaked. And when it gets water soaked, it will sink. You know, with the bead chain eyes, you're not adding any weight to it. So if you want it to sink faster, do something like put a small set of dumbbell eyes on it. But as I say, it will fish upside down. So the top is going to wind up being the bottom. All right. The next thing here is I'm going to get the thread back to the back. This is some old ice chenille that I picked up a little ball of somewhere. And I'm going to do the same thing I would do on most chenille. Pull a little bit off so I can see the core. And then I'm going to take a loose wrap over, take a wrap over it, pinch wrap, and tie it down. If you think about a fry or a small trout, rainbow trout, you know, you just sort of have a flash of pink in the center, and that's why I'm choosing this stuff, is it's not going to give it a really heavy pink color. And so I'm going to come in here and just wrap it. Good chance to use your rotary function on your vise if you've got one. A little practice. I'm going to go up to the eyes, and then I'm just going to make a figure 8 around the eyes and hold on to that, and then I'm going to take some wraps over it to tie it off. Now, you can, when you finish this fly, go back around the front with some dubbing, like some ice dub. But wrapping this the way I just did, I don't think I need it. So I've got some, this is what's called blood quill marabou. And you'll notice it's got a big, typically a big stem at the back, and then a bunch of loose fibers at the front. And you want the ones that don't have a stem that comes all the way out to the front. You want these loose fibers at the end. So this one will be fine. And I'm going to tie in this marabou. And again, remember, this is going to wind up on the bottom. And I want to leave it several times the length of the hook shank. That's about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. Take a couple wraps around it, and then clip it off. All right, now we're going to flip it over. This is blood quill, but notice that it's got a center quill that comes all the way out to the end. So this is not going to flow very well in the water. It's going to be a little stiff. If you want to use these, what you can do is preen back and just clip that quill off so you've got nice loose fibers. And you may have to clip it off a couple of times a little further. This is going to be the back of the fly, and we want to make sure that it's about the same length as what we did before, maybe a little bit longer. Get right in there along the side and grab hold of it. And then take some wraps over it, in front of it. And then I'm going to go across the bottom and come out and start making a little head. Clip that off. Now I want to give credit where credit is due. This fly is out of an old set of notes that I've got from one of our local fly fishing club meetings. And I think this fly came from a guy named Mark Crawford, who owns Spring River Flies and Guides over in Mammoth Spring, Arkansas. And Mark, I fished with Mark. The family's fished with Mark. He's a great guide. Spring River is a good river, spring fed as opposed to being tailwater. So you can fish it most all year round. You can wade it most all year round because you don't have trouble with the water being too high for you to wade. So if you get over to Mammoth Spring, give Mark a shout. Everybody that I have fished with that works with him has been really good. And what happens when this gets wet, I mean, your temptation looking at it is say, I don't look anything like a fry. But what happens is all this gets wet and it lays down, streams out, and you get just a flash of pink in the middle, just like on a fry rainbow. And they will hit this thing. I fished this a couple weeks ago over at the spring and got several hits on it, caught a couple of fish on it actually, and nobody else was catching anything else. So that's a simple little rainbow pattern.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for all our videos and tight lines.